Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. I'm Todd Glenn. Hopefully, you guys are having a great Friday morning. So it's a little bit cool, a little bit chilly outside, but it should warm up throughout the day. Anyway, we are going to get started with some of the NHL games that came on yesterday. So there was like 9 NHL games that came on yesterday. I want to get into Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith's debut against the St. Louis Blues. Unfortunately, it ended in a 5-4 loss to the St. Louis Blues. But hey, Jordan Kyrou came up big for my fantasy hockey team, so should give him props for that, even though I hate the Blues because I'm a Blackhawks fan. But for Macklin Celebrini, he had 2 points in his NHL debut. He had a goal and an assist, and this was both in the first period. He averaged 17 minutes and 35 seconds of time on ice. 22 times he was out there, so 22 shifts. He managed to get 2 shots on goal. I know one of them was on the power play in that second period. I would love to see a 2-goal game from Macklin Celebrini. His buddy Will Smith, who I think both him and Macklin Celebrini used to play for the same AAA hockey team together as kids, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But he also debuted for the Sharks. He did not come up on the score sheet just like his buddy Macklin Celebrini did. He did get 13 minutes and 41 seconds of time on ice, average, and he was out there 16 times, so 16 shifts, and he also had 2 shots on goal as well. But hopefully he'll score in his next game because I would love to see both him and Macklin Celebrini score. Macklin Celebrini, he did score, but I would have loved to see Will Smith score too. For the Blues, Brayden Schenn had won the game in overtime to get the Blues their 5-4 win. So the Blues, they are certainly the comeback kings, if you will, because in their first game on opening night against the Seattle Kraken, they were down 2 goals. They won 3-2, so Jordan Kyrou had a 2-goal game. In that game, he comes up big in this game as well, getting like 2-3 assists in the game. Then Brayden Schenn with the game winner. The Blues wrap up their 3-game road trip tonight in Vegas against the Vegas Golden Knights, and then they have their home opener Tuesday, October 15th against the Minnesota Wild. So the Blues head into the third period. They were down 4-1. They got goals from Radek Foska, Ryan Suter, who they signed in free agency, and Justin Falk. They actually outshot the Sharks 40-29 in the game, and Joel Hofer made 25 saves on 49 shots faced in net for the Blues. For the Sharks, they got goals from Tyler Toffoli, who signed with the team and I think was traded to the team as well. Fabian Zelin got a goal for the Sharks, and of course Barclay Goodrow scored a goal. This was Barclay Goodrow's first goal coming back to the Sharks, because he did play for the Sharks before being traded to the Lightning at the trade deadline in 2020. He had 71 points in 268 games played with the Sharks in those 6 seasons, so 26 goals, 45 assists for 71 points in 268 games played. He's now back in San Jose. You guys already know that in 2019 Stanley Cup playoffs in that first round against Vegas, where the Sharks would come all the way back from like 3 goals down, tie the game up, and then Barclay Goodrow scored the game winner. He was on the team for that season as well. And like I said, now he's back on San Jose. Mackenzie Blackwood made 35 saves on 40 shots faced in net. So one takeaway from this game, I really enjoyed seeing Macklin Celebrini, Will Smith debut for the Sharks. 2 great players in this rebuild for the Sharks. Would have loved to see Will Smith score, but he didn't. With Macklin Celebrini, he did have a great debut, but it was the Blues scoring depth that came out with the win in this game. So the Sharks, they actually play the Ducks Saturday before starting a 3-game road trip in Dallas Tuesday, October 15th. The Blues, like I mentioned, they head to Vegas Friday to wrap up their 3-game road trip, and their home opener is Tuesday, October 15th against the Wild at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, and this is a first of a 4-game homestand when that happens for the Blues. Now we're going to get into the Bruins and Canadiens, so a rivalry game right here. And the Bruins, after losing 6-4 in their first game of the season against the Florida Panthers. They actually win 6-4 in their home opener against the Montreal Canadiens. So Elias Lindholm and Cole Kopecky had 3 points in the win, so 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points for both of those players. This was Elias Lindholm's first goal as a Boston Bruin because he did sign with the team in free agency. Jeremy Swayman, fresh off of an 8-year contract deal, he made 20 saves on 24 shots faced in net for the Bruins win. This is Jeremy Swayman's 80th career win, and he's the second fastest U.S.-born goaltender to reach 80 wins since Frank Brimsek. But I don't know what team he played for. And Jeremy Swayman is currently 8-0-1 against the Montreal Canadiens. And the Bruins have been dominant against the Canadiens in general. I think they have like a 15 game point streak. I could be wrong, but they have been dominant against the Habs. But for the Canadiens, Brendan Gallagher, he had a 2-goal game. Cole Caulfield scored his second goal of the season. His first goal of the season was, of course, in the Canadiens' 1-0 shutout win over the Maple Leafs in their home opener, of course. He's wearing number 13 now in honor of the late and great Johnny Gaudreau. Sam Montembeault, he didn't start this game. It was actually Caden Premu who started this game, who made 23 saves on 29 shots faced in net. But Sam Montembeault in the Canadiens' first game, he stopped all 48 shots faced in net in that home opener win. And we got to see rookie Lane Hudson had 2 assists in the Canadiens' 6-4 loss from the Boston Bruins. One takeaway from this game, the Bruins controlled puck battles, and despite the Canadiens' offensive efforts from some of their players, it wasn't enough for them to come out with the win over the Boston Bruins. And the Bruins continue their 3-game home opener Saturday against the LA Kings at 12 o'clock p.m. Central Time. So that'll be a afternoon game to watch. And it wraps up Monday against the Florida Panthers, who they just lost to in their season opener at 12 o'clock p.m. Central Time. The Canadiens head home Saturday to start a 3-game homestand against the Ottawa Senators, which comes on at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time, which the Senators, big win last night against the defending Stanley Cup champions. They certainly have earned my respect because this was a team, despite their offseason acquisitions, that I thought probably wasn't going to make it to the playoffs at first, but then I was like, oh, okay. Now I see they had an Omar, they had a Michael Mario, David Perron, and they had a great preseason, even though preseason really doesn't count. But if you're taking on a team like the Florida Panthers and you don't even have the best odds at making it to the Stanley Cup playoffs, and you certainly come out with the win over the Florida Panthers, the defending Stanley Cup champions, that has certainly earned my respect. So the team has certainly earned my respect. I do see the Senators finishing as a wild card team. Possibly a wild card team, not in the top 3, but as a wild card team by the end of the year. But we shall see how the season goes for them. But I really like Linus Ullmark's game against Ottawa. Debut with the Ottawa Senators against the Florida Panthers. He was absolutely resilient in that game. All right, now we're going to get into the LA Kings, Buffalo Sabres. So Anze Kopitar, not just a natural hat trick in the Kings' 3-1 win over the Sabres. So he scored the game-winning goal, of course, because he had a natural hat trick. Broke the tie late in the third period with a power play goal, and then afterwards he scored the empty netter. Darcy Kemper, first game back with the LA Kings, made 32 saves on 33 shots faced in net. He did play with the Kings before he was traded to the Arizona Coyotes, in which he was 10-1-3 with a 2.10 goals against average and a .932 save percentage. Now, if you're a Buffalo Sabres fan, this is not a good start for you guys. You guys have lost your back-to-back games in Prague against the New Jersey Devils. You lose your home opener here. You're 0-3-0. The team has struggled defensively through these first 3 games. And the only goal that was scored in this game was a shorthanded goal from Alex Tuck in the second period. And the Sabres' next game is against the Florida Panthers on Saturday, October 6th. Wait, no. They face the Panthers on Saturday. And then if you look at the next games after that, October 16th against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Should be really nothing to worry about in that game, but the Penguins offense might spark something. And then you face the Columbus Blue Jackets October 17th. Really a game that I really wouldn't worry about either. And then you face the Blackhawks October 19th. Another game that I really worry about is your Buffalo, because the Blackhawks, they probably won't be as good as Buffalo despite their off-season acquisitions. And I know I'm a Blackhawks fan, but I don't think they probably won't be as good as the Sabres. But we'll see how they do in that game. And then you face Dallas on October 22nd back at home, so fresh off of a 3-game road trip right there. And then you face Detroit, and then you face the Panthers again. So really the games that I should be worried about if I were the Buffalo Sabres are the games against the Panthers and the Stars, because these are two great teams. Stars have a lot of offensive power, and of course they got a solid defensive pair as well. Panthers, that are defending Stanley Cup champions, and you're facing them 2 times before the month of October is over, and you want to get in some wins. You want to at least get in a few wins to wrap up the month of October. So these next few games for the Buffalo Sabres are critical. So they need to tighten up the defense. The offense needs to spark something, and we need to see a dominant performance in the crease from Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Of course, Lindy Ruff's trying to find his starting goaltender between whether it's going to be Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen or Devin Levi. We don't know who he's going to go with, but the team in general has to fix their issues, because, like I said, your next game is against the defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, and won Stanley Cup, of course, and also it needs to be like, we need to fix this now. So that's basically what I'm saying. Nothing else to say after that. The Panthers, on the other hand, like I said, they did come off of a 3-1 loss to the Ottawa Senators. So Tim Stützle had 2 goals in the game. Linus Ullmark made 30 saves in his debut. Travis Green got his first win as the Senators head coach. And the shots, they were even in this game, 31-31. So both teams had 31 shots on goal. Gustav Forsling had the only lone goal for the Florida Panthers. And Sergei Bobrovsky made 28 saves on 30 shots faced in net. But bad news if you're a Panthers fan. Alexander Barkov, he did leave that game with a lower body injury, so he slid into the boards doing a fight for the puck with Tim Stützle with 1 minute and 10 seconds remaining in the third period. He was helped off the ice, but he wasn't putting any weight on that right leg. So we don't know how long this injury is. We know it's a lower body injury, but we don't know how long will he be out for. But, of course, bad loss if you're a Panthers fan. They do continue their 4-game road trip against the Sabres Saturday, and then they wrap up their 4-game road trip Tuesday, October 15th against the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Senators, they head to Montreal to take on the Canadiens Saturday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Now we're going to get into the Leafs and Devils. So the Leafs, after being shut out in their season opener, they come back with a win against Sheldon Keefe and the Devils. So, of course, this was Craig Berube's first win behind the bench for the Maple Leafs. Of course, we got to see Sheldon Keefe. He did lose to his former team because he did coach the Toronto Maple Leafs, led them to the playoffs, had regular season success with the team. And, of course, he coached their AHL team, the Toronto Marlies. Now he's coaching the New Jersey Devils, but, of course, first loss against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Dennis Hildeby, hopefully I pronounced that last name right. He made 23 saves in his NHL debut with the Leafs. Max Pacioretty, the former Montreal Canadian, Bobby McMahon, Steven Lorentz, and John Tavares scored for the Leafs, while Jesper Bratt and Timo Meyer scored for the Devils. One takeaway from this game, the Leafs, they looked sharp in this game. Like, they know they got shut out in their home opener. They wanted to come out. They wanted to make a name for themselves, get their first win in the season. That's what they did. So they looked really sharp in this game. The Devils, despite winning their back-to-back games in Prague and then losing in their home opener, they're still trying to, adjust to being under Sheldon Keefe as their head coach. The Toronto Maple Leafs returned home for a start of a 4-game homestand against Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time on Saturday, while the Devils head to D.C. to take on the Capitals at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. So both of these games will be on Saturday. So 14 games on Saturday, by the way, so you'll be able to watch both of those games there. Dylan Guenther, he's at it again for Utah Hockey Club, scoring the overtime game winner in their 5-4 win against the Islanders last night. So, of course, he scored their first goal in franchise history. So, like I said on the last episode of the Hockey Talk TG podcast, no ties to the Arizona Coyotes. All that is in the past. This is a new team, new franchise, so no more ties to the Arizona Coyotes. So, first goal in franchise history that Dylan Guenther scored. He comes up big in this game, notching 2 goals, including the game winner. Lawson Krause, Barrett Hayden, and Josh Doan, son of Shane Doan, also scored for Utah. And Connor Ingram made 21 saves on 25 shots, faced the net for Utah Hockey Club. For the Islanders, Anthony Duclair had 2 points for the Islanders in his debut. He had 1 goal, 1 assist. He does look a little bit different. He did shave his beard. At first, I didn't recognize him. I didn't recognize that was Anthony Duclair, but like I said, shaved his beard. Looks different now. One takeaway, Utah, their offensive firepower keeps clicking. This was something, I'm not going to lie, I was not expecting this start from Utah Hockey Club, but they get their first win in franchise history against the Chicago Blackhawks. Dylan Guenther came up big in that game. The Stars in general came up big in that game. And then we got to see some more offensive firepower from Utah Hockey Club in this game as well. They're now 2-0-0, and they're one of the newest NHL franchise teams to have this much big of a start since the Vegas Golden Knights did it in their inaugural season, 2017-18 NHL season. So Utah Hockey Club continues this 4-game road trip as they head to Madison Square Garden Saturday to take on the New York Rangers at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Islanders head to the Big D, Dallas, Texas, to take on the Dallas Stars Saturday at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time for the start of a 3-game road trip. Now I'm going to head to the state of hockey. So Matt Boldy notches 3 points in the Wild's 3-2 win over the Columbus Blue Jackets. So at the start of the game, they did pay tribute to Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau. They held a 13-second moment of silence in that game as well. They honored Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau, and then Matt Boldy got 3 points in the win, so 1 goal, 2 assists. Philip Gustafson made 31 saves for the Minnesota Wild, and we also got to see Joe Eriksson Ek and Matt Zuccarello score for Minnesota. Marcus Johansson came up big with 2 assists. For the Blue Jackets, University of Michigan's own Kent Johnson scored a goal for the Blue Jackets, and another Michigan Wolverines alumni, Zach Werenski, had a power play goal late in the third period, but it wasn't enough to overcome the Minnesota Wild. Elvis Merzlikins made 23 saves for the Blue Jackets in that game. And, of course, both teams are in action on Saturday. So the Blue Jackets head to Colorado to take on the Colorado Avalanche Saturday at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time. The Wild play the Kraken Saturday at home at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time before starting a long 7-game road trip in Winnipeg Sunday. All right, now we head to the Music City. Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault making their Nashville Predators debut since signing with the team in the offseason. Predators absolutely cooked. They also got Brady Shea on their team now, so they really cooked in free agency. But unfortunately, the Stars will come out with the win on Broadway, winning 4-3 against the Nashville Predators. Now, for me, this is a bittersweet moment. Bittersweet moment because Nashville Predators, they are my second favorite NHL team. Of course, my first favorite, you guys know too well if you've been listening to this podcast, and if you know me in general, my favorite NHL team is the Chicago Blackhawks. But the Predators are my second favorite NHL team. So I say this is a bittersweet moment for me personally because the reason I just said, and also because I have Jake Andre on my fantasy hockey team, so I really liked his performance. He certainly came up big for us. He held on for the win, so yeah, this is bittersweet for me. In general, Mason Marchment scored twice for the Stars. You got to see Logan Stankoven, who's going to be one of the top rookies to watch this season. He notched 3 assists for the Stars in their win, so that first and second line was absolutely clicking. Rope Hintz and Jason Robinson pitched in a goal as well, so that first and second line was clicking for the Stars. And also their power play, their second power play unit was clicking as well, so they did get a power play goal from the second power play unit. So the Stars offense, they just did not let their feet off the gas pedal. And this is a team that I see winning the President's Trophy this year, but we have to see how the season turns out. Jake Andre, like I said, he made 33 saves in the game. For Nashville, Philip Forsberg had a power play goal and an assist for the Preds. Scott Wedgwood faced off against his former team, another pickup that the Nashville Predators got in free agency. He made 16 saves on 20 shots faced in net, so of course he is subbed in for UC Sauls, who is day-to-day with a lower body injury, but the team is hoping to see him back in action soon because we need UC Sauls in the crease for the Predators. So the Predators, they made a strong push in the third period, getting goals from Tommy Novak and Ryan O'Reilly, but of course they failed to overcome the Dallas Stars. So both teams are in action Saturday. So the Predators, they head to the Motor City to take on the Detroit Red Wings. Of course, the Red Wings, well, both of these teams in general are looking forward to rebound from their home opener loss because both of these teams had their home openers yesterday, and they did lose in their home openers. Of course, the Predators lost 4-3 to the Dallas Stars. Red Wings lost 6-3 to the Pittsburgh Penguins. So both of these teams looking to get their first win of the season and looking to rebound from their home opener loss. The Stars return home to face the Islanders at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. NHL games on tap for today. So we got the Tampa Bay Lightning heading to Carolina to take on the Hurricanes at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. This will air on ESPN Plus and Hulu. They were supposed to have a game Saturday, but it got postponed due to Hurricane Milton, which P.S. my thoughts and prayers, my condolences are with you guys who are living in Florida that had to suffer through this tragedy, this hurricane. So my thoughts, prayers are with you guys. Just know that thinking about you, and hopefully if you are a Florida resident, you are staying safe. But most importantly, hopefully you are leaving Florida to get out of the hurricane while staying safe as well. So, yeah, we're really thinking about you guys in Florida that have to suffer through this, and a lot of things getting postponed. We did see the Tampa Bay Rays baseball stadium, the roof had absolutely tore off, Tropicana Field, and yeah, just really unimaginable and really sad to hear. So yeah, that game is postponed Saturday due to Hurricane Milton. Other NHL games on tap for today is the Blackhawks headed to Winnipeg to take on the Winnipeg Jets at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. I'm hoping for them to bounce back in this game. NHL Network will provide bonus coverage of the third period, so you guys will be able to watch that third period of the Blackhawks and Jets game on NHL Network. And then we got the Flyers heading to Vancouver to take on the Vancouver Canucks. Potential debut of Mateev Michikov. Of course, the Canucks are looking forward to rebound from that 6-5 OT loss in their home opener to the Calgary Flames. And we hope to see Mateev Michikov debut for the Philadelphia Flyers. And then we got the St. Louis Blues ending their 3-game road trip in Vegas, taking on the Vegas Golden Knights at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And then, like I mentioned already, we got 14 games on tap for Saturday. And, of course, Hockey Night in Canada will preview 4 of those games on Saturday. So, for Hockey Night in Canada, we got the Pittsburgh Penguins taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. This will air on NHL Network as well. So, U.S. residents will get to watch it there. Then we got the Montreal Canadiens taking on the Ottawa Senators at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And then we got the Philadelphia Flyers heading to Calgary to take on the Calgary Flames at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And then we got my Chicago Blackhawks heading to Edmonton to take on Connor McDavid and the Oilers, 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. I did mention on this podcast that the Oilers are in win now mode. They did get shut out in their home opener against the Winnipeg Jets 6-0. So obviously not a good start right there. But the Oilers, I do expect a strong start for the Oilers. So I know my Chicago Blackhawks are playing the Oilers tomorrow night. I don't expect the Oilers to start off slow. I expect them to have a good start in this game. So the offensive firepower for the Oilers, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, secondary scoring from Jessica and Victor Arvidsson, all that, I expect that to be clicking on all cylinders in tomorrow's game against the Blackhawks. So obviously the Oilers need to start, and they currently lost in the Stanley Cup Final. They did lose in the Stanley Cup Final, and they are looking to win the Stanley Cup in 2025. But all the games that are happening on Saturday in general, so like I mentioned, Predators taking on the Detroit Red Wings, Kings taking on the Bruins, that'll be an early afternoon game. Panthers taking on the Sabres, 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. So I did mention that this is a must-need win for the Buffalo Sabres. I know it's going to be tough doing it against the defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, but hey, you don't need this bad start to the season. So I'm hoping for the Sabres to get their first win of the season, but it's highly unlikely that they will. Penguins taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. That will kick off Hockey Night in Canada. Senators taking on the Habs. And like I mentioned, that Hurricanes and Lightning's game for Saturday is postponed due to Hurricane Milton. Hopefully you guys that are Florida residents are staying safe and evacuating from the hurricane. And then we got Utah Hockey Club taking on the Rangers. Devils head to D.C. to take on Alex Ovechkin and the Washington Capitals, which I'm hoping to see a 40-goal season from Ovi, but I know he's getting old. And it also depends on if he stays healthy or not through most of these games. And then the Islanders head to Big D to take on the Dallas Stars. 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Kraken head to Minnesota to take on the Wild. Blue Jackets are in Denver to take on the Colorado Avalanche. And Flyers, Flames, 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And then the final game of the night, two young California teams going at it. Anaheim Ducks, San Jose Sharks. Of course, Sharks are looking forward to get their first win of the season after their 5-4 overtime loss to the St. Louis Blues. So lots of NHL games happening this weekend and on fall break. So yeah. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this episode. So thank you guys for tuning in as always. Really do appreciate it when you tune in to the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Of course, there'll be no episode Monday because fall break, and also just because I want to enjoy my break, and so there'll be no episode Monday because of that. Wednesday will be an episode of Hockey Talk with TG podcast. We'll recap or just say some of my top favorite games from the first week of the NHL season, along with recapping the NHL games from the following Tuesday. But mostly I want to discuss my top favorite NHL games from the first week of the NHL season on that day. But hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day. Hopefully you have a good break. Hopefully you have a good weekend. Lots of hockey being played this weekend, so hopefully you guys tune into it. So hopefully you have a great day. God first as always. Be blessed. And I'll see you guys Wednesday for another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Take care.